Hey everyone, welcome back to the next episode of my travel diary series in Japan. Now, I know it's been a little bit of time since my previous episode of this travel diary series, but I have been working on a few other projects, so that kind of just overtook everything that I was trying to do here. But I'm back to this and hopefully gonna start really getting these episodes out. Now, today's episode is actually a little bit of a shorter one than usual, because on this particular day, we didn't actually get to do, or we didn't have a whole lot planned. So we originally were planning to try and go to Universal Studios Japan to see the new Super Nintendo World that came out a couple of years ago. But unfortunately, those tickets still sell out so fast, so unfortunately we couldn't get any. So we kind of had a free day to kill. And I've actually been to Osaka quite a few times now, and I have still yet to go to Osaka Castle. So we actually decided to go there on this day. Now, because this was kind of a free day, we were a little bit slow with starting the day. We kind of got on the train pretty late in the morning and headed down to Osaka Castle. Now, one thing I actually really did like about the area around Osaka Castle is that there's a lot of really nice stores and like gift stores and restaurants and places to eat. It's definitely a really nice area around there. One thing I really like about Japan, especially being in a big city, is how often you can find places similar to Osaka Castle where you start your journey in a big city filled with high-rise buildings, but you can always manage to find these locations that are just green, like really big parks, and they always have some sort of shrine or castle in the middle. And I gotta say, the surrounding area of Osaka Castle is absolutely stunning. I really enjoyed it. It's just such a nice walk. One thing that we didn't expect to see on the way to Osaka Castle was these hawks. So there was this guy sort of waiting out the front who had, I think it was about 3 or 4 hawks with him, and they were all sort of trained. And yeah, it was just pretty interesting to see. It's definitely not something you expect to see every day, that's for sure. And you definitely see a lot of people walking their dogs around Osaka Castle, which did make me very jealous because personally my dream dog is a Shiba and they're just so cute and you see them everywhere. As you get closer to Osaka Castle, it's really incredible to see the roof just popping out amongst all of the trees. It looks like something that you would see in a movie. And again, the area around the castle itself is just absolutely stunning. And the fact that it's like surrounded by this river or moat or whatever you want to call it, it just looks really incredible. And there was even boats going through there as well, so I'm assuming there's kind of like a boat tour that you might be able to pay for somewhere. I'm not too sure exactly where that is. Osaka Castle is definitely a sight to behold, and it's pretty obvious why this is such a well-known tourist spot, because it is really incredible. Now, I'm also not too sure what they were actually doing on this day because my Japanese is not that great, but there was actually a lot of mascot characters or people dressed up as mascots walking around as well. There was quite a few of them there. I think there was probably about 4 or 5 mascots walking around, and there was kind of like a whole bunch of news reporters as well, which was pretty interesting to see. Now, with Osaka Castle, you can actually go inside as well. Although, on this particular day, the weather was really nice, but it was also really sunny and quite hot. And the line to go into Osaka Castle was about 50 minutes waiting out in the sun. So we ultimately decided to not bother going in because honestly, I don't like the heat all that much, if I'm quite honest, and I did not want to be standing out in the sun for nearly an hour just waiting to go inside the castle. Although I do think it probably would have been really interesting to see, but I also think that there was quite a lot of people there, so it would have been very hard to film inside, so it just didn't seem worth it to me at the time. But even without going inside Osaka Castle, there's still plenty to see around the castle itself because the park and garden is actually quite large and you can definitely kill a couple of hours just walking around, and it was really nice as well. It was very refreshing to be able to sort of get out and just take a nice stroll through the park. And if you don't want to walk around, there is actually this train car thing that kind of drives around there as well, which starts not too far from where the train station is. Now, there was actually this potato festival thing going on because at the time that we went to Japan, it was kind of the season for sweet potato, which is really big in Japan. And if you're ever in Japan around this time, you'll see a lot of sweet potato flavored things and sweet potatoes in general, like baked sweet potato, and I highly recommend having it because at least in comparison to sweet potato here in Australia, it's very different. It tastes very, very good and you can smell it from a mile away. It smells almost like someone's cooking pancakes or something. It's such a sweet scent and it's really nice. But yeah, we saw this potato festival and we were tempted to go inside and have some of the food that they had there, but like Osaka Castle, the lines were just insanely long and half the food had sold out by this point in the day, which was actually not that late. So if you are ever in Osaka around this time, definitely plan your day to go here first before anything else, because if you do want to come to this little potato festival thing, you're definitely going to want to do it early before everything sells out and before the lines get insanely long. So we moved on from the potato festival without sticking around there too long because again, the lines were just way too long to want to sort of stand in them, and we ended up just continuing walking around the park for a little while until we eventually got back around to where we started, which was close to the train station, and we decided that we would spend a little bit of time here and find something to have as a bit of a late lunch. And while we were actually looking for something to eat, we actually saw this train car pulling back up, which was the one that I mentioned stops around near where the station is. It actually looked a little bit different to the one that we actually saw driving around the park, so I'm not sure if they both stop here or if this is a different one to the one that we saw when we were actually in the park or not. But yeah, it's still pretty cool and it'd be interesting to do, I think. Now, you are absolutely spoiled for choice here because just around the station area alone, there's so many different places to eat. But because Osaka Castle is quite a large tourist spot, we did find that it was a bit of a wait to get into most places, and when we did eventually find somewhere that we wanted to eat, it actually turned out that a lot of the food there had actually sold out as well, just simply because it's such a busy area. Now, Osaka Castle was pretty much the only thing we ended up doing on this day. We sort of called it a day pretty early because we did have an early start the next morning. And to be honest, I'm not sure how much I would recommend Osaka Castle. I do think it's great, don't get me wrong. But in saying that, I think that there are so many amazing castles around Japan, and most of which are much, much less touristy than what Osaka Castle is. So if you want to go to a castle that's a lot less busy, I would pretty much recommend almost any other castle in Japan. But if you're already in Osaka, it's fine. I think you could easily just kill a couple of hours there and move on with the rest of your day. I don't think it needs much more time than that, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it's definitely a sight to behold, as I said, and you can get plenty of nice photos and everything there. It's really nice, but yeah, a little bit too touristy for me, I think, especially with the sheer amount of incredible castles in Japan, some of which are much less well known, but just as amazing to look at, and you can go inside them as well. And they're not quite as crowded as what Osaka Castle is. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Anyways, what did you think? Do you want to go to Osaka Castle, or have you been, and what were your thoughts? If you went inside, maybe let us know what that was like. Personally, I've never been inside. This is my first time being to Osaka Castle, and I just could not bring myself to wait in that queue because, yeah, very long and super sunny, way too hot to wait in a queue that long. I would definitely be interested to know how crowded it is on the inside, considering how many people were waiting out the front though. Now, my next episode of the Travel Diary series is quite a big day. We did so much on this next day of the trip, and it's gonna take quite a while to edit that video, so I'm glad this was just a short video because it allows me to make a jump on that one straight away and start doing it. So yeah, I hope you look forward to that. It's gonna be really incredible. There's going to be a lot of interesting things in there that I think most people would never have seen before. So I'm really looking forward to getting that one out. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.